What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We are playing some King Arthur Legends Rise. I want to talk about some rare game changers today. But if you're not playing the game and you want to come have some fun with us, be sure to download the game using the link in my description as well as the pinned comment. Game is awesome. I encourage you to check it out. I'm having a ton of fun. We're almost 60 days in, and I'm sure at some point I'm gonna do a sort of just review of the game. So we're here day 13 in the second month, so 43 days in, and I've had a ton of time to assess the game, assess the champs, the things I like and the things I don't like. But I want to share with you all just some rare game changers that have helped me out a ton to progress my account. And first, I want to go with a guy that I'm using everywhere in Arena. Every fight, this guy is definitely in lead for me. Primarily because he has a speed aura. So we get a boost in our speed at the start. You pretty much, if you win the speed race, you can pretty much win every fight. Now, Cormac, he is an absolute monster, especially if you have his Frost Relic, which you can get from the relic shop if you don't have it, if you weren't fortunate enough to pull it. I encourage you to be on the lookout for this Frost Relic every day that you can, because the multiplier here is absolutely nuts, guys. So when you get it all the way skilled up, let's actually go and do some math here. So the multiplier here is absolutely crazy, and I thought I had this maxed. Pretty sure. No. I'm thinking about Arthur, who we're going to talk about next. So when you get this skilled up, this guy hits like a truck. The multiplier on here is absolutely crazy. It's one of the highest in the game for sure, top 5. So you want to make sure that you get this relic for him and you're using him in Arena because you want to be going first. You can use him in lead and get some big damage out of him. He also brings a fair amount of survivability for himself. He's going to place increased defense on himself. It's going to be pretty hard to kill. Right now, I have him in a strife set, attack set, and critical set. Want to make sure that you kind of get his attack up. My build is a bit lacking at the moment. Also very slow, but we have a decent amount of crit rate. We're going to get increased crit from other champs as well. They're going to buff us up and help us to get our crit up, our crit damage up, our attack up. But you got to absolutely invest in this guy. You also want to make sure that you give him some effect accuracy where you can. My build does not have much effect accuracy at all. As you can see here, the build is lacking in effect accuracy, but we want to be giving him effect accuracy so that he can be placing this evasion rate decrease, because that's going to help us to take down those annoying Ks that we find and come across all the time in Arena, who you just can't kill because she has a ridiculous amount of evasion. And we're going to talk a bit about K as well, but he places decreased evasion. He can bring you some tremendous damage, and he's also going to boost the speed of your team with his aura. So definitely, hands down, probably #1 rare for me. This guy can be used anywhere. If you need damage somewhere, this guy's great. You can use him against the dragon. You want to farm equipment. You want to do anything in campaign and story mode. This guy is an absolute unit. So I encourage you to invest in him. Try to get the Frost Relic if you can. Like I said, you're going to have to go in here to the shard shop. Look, be on the lookout. Cormac Flame in here right now, right? Be on the lookout, because that Frost Relic could pop up if you don't have it, and you're going to want to get it. Now let's move on to the next rare. And I said we want to talk about Arthur. So let's actually go to Arthur, because he has an absolutely insane multiplier on his Wind Relic. And this is going to help us a ton in Audrey, which you're going to have to farm if you want to boost up your relics. You want to awaken your relics. You want to be able to advance your relics and get your relics up, because you have to do that in order to get the most out of your champions. As you can see here, I do have this skilled up. I've been investing in this relic for a bit. And, you know, like I said before, if you don't have this Wind Relic form, the Storm Relic, sorry, you want to be on the lookout in the shard shop to try and get this out, because 383% attack plus an additional 32% attack on each hit if the element is frost. This is going to help you out a ton. This is an absolute banger of a skill. It can smack. crazily, right? So you want to make sure that you get him up. And the easiest thing, he's so easy to build. The best thing about him is he's going to place CS rate increase 3, right, on himself and all Bull's favorite allies, right, which is going to give you, I believe it's an 80% boost in crit rate. So you want to build him with around 20% crit rate and as much crit damage as possible so that you can be, pretty much smacking. Now, my build is not great. I've just started to fully invest in him. We still need to get him 6-star awaken so we can get, the best stats that we can on him. But you want to build him with some attack. You want to build them with crit damage for sure. Maybe some pierce if you can fit it in. But I would just go for as much attack and crit damage as possible. And this guy is going to put in some work for you. Right now, I have him in attack and a damage set because we can try and get 20 crit rate where we can. I don't have 20 on my build at the moment. See, he only has like 12. So I need to definitely improve this build, but you only need like 20% crit rate on him. He's going to boost his crit rate, and then he's going to come through and do a ridiculous amount of damage. This is one of the highest damage skills in the game for sure. Easy champ to get Chivalry on. You want to make sure you get your Chivalry on him. Arthur, you start out with, you're going to get a ton of copies of him. Make sure that you are investing in him and try to get that Storm Relic because he's going to be an absolute game changer for you, especially in the campaign where you need to use, Storm champions, right? This guy can come in and be one of the champions that you're using as your DPS. That was one of the things that I found was a bit challenging in the campaign, was having to swap between the affinities of champs. Eventually I did find something that worked out, but I still haven't been able to 3-star the entirety of the Hell campaign. It is a bit rough. I think I have maybe 3 chapters that have not been 3-starred, and it's primarily because there are some stages where they get like damage immunity, and you pretty much just have to wait, and it's very annoying. But invest in Arthur, get that Storm Relic. It is going to be a game changer for you. It does so much damage against Audrey because Audrey is Frost, right? If we go in here, take a look at the power up dungeon, right? Frozen Plain, Audrey is Frost, so you're going to be getting extra hits with Arthur in there, and he's going to take down that boss very quickly. You can also use him effectively in the clan raid for Audrey. Speed up your runs a bit. I know that boss can be pretty slow just because like you need a crazy amount of damage to get it done. So I encourage you to invest in him for sure. But the next rare I want to talk about is Kay, and we briefly mentioned her earlier. I haven't fully invested in her, but you definitely want to, because we have the guild v guild coming up. It's going to pretty much be, an enhanced arena. You're going to need a ton of champs, right? And all of these champs that I've said so far are going to be able to be used effectively in there. But you want to use her, and you want to invest in her. I have her in full counter and strife at the moment. The stats aren't great. Trust me. I haven't been investing in her as much as I should. But you want to give her as much evasion as possible, because even though she might not do a ton of damage, right? She might not do the highest damage in the world, right? Her multipliers here aren't, anything crazy. They aren't anything magnificent. She is going to give herself an opportunity to buff up. So she's going to get CS rate increase 2, which is very helpful. She's also going to be increasing her attack gauge a ton. So she has a ton of opportunities to increase her attack gauge, especially if we get her to C8, Chivalry 8, which you should be able to do for sure. Because she's going to get this Golden Boar's Reserve. And what it's going to do is once she evades 3 times, she gets 3 stacks of the Golden Boar's Reserve. It's going to charge her attack gauge by 100%. Pair that with a strife set. You take down a DPS champion who isn't built very tanky. You get another extra turn there, another 100% boost there. And I believe, here we go. Yeah, when attacking, in addition to this attack increase 2, she's going to charge her attack gauge by 20%, right? And this is on a 3-turn cooldown if you have it fully skilled up. But she's going to get boost there. She's going to get boost from the Golden Boar's Reserve. She's also going to get boosted from, you know, killing an enemy if you have her fully awakened with the Strife set. She's going to gain evasion rate increase too for the rest of the battle at the start of the battle. So if you build her with a decent amount of evasion and she's constantly evading, you just can't hit her. You got to bring someone like a Cormac in, or someone who can place decrease evasion in order to take her down. So if the opponent doesn't have any of that, you know, in their comp when you're attacking them, you can effectively bring a K in and she will pretty much be invincible, which is kind of crazy, which I'm probably going to try and build. Now, I'm going to show you the stats of this build, and it is not great. The stats aren't great. But what I do have on her is a 42.48 evasion rate, so that she just pretty much doesn't get touched. Almost 50% chance to just not get touched. And she's going to increase her evasion with the buffs. She's going to gain that Golden Boar's Reserve as well, which is going to further increase her evasion 3% for each stack of that. So she's pretty much going to not be able to get touched. And have her in full counter attack sets, she is going to be able to, you know, get in extra damage even when it's not her turn. So this is actually a very fun champ to use. You can use her effectively in arena. To 3-star, the story mode, she's probably not going to be the best because in this type of build, because if you don't get the damage off within 20 turns or 30 turns for the bosses, then it's not going to be great, but still can be used to clear those stages and beat those things and be able to get some of the rewards there. So very, very strong champion. I encourage you to build her. Definitely try to build her with some evasion. I'm going to be reassessing this build. These were the first like counter attack sets that I crafted. I haven't crafted many since then. I got to go and get some more of the materials. Got to farm campaign to actually get the materials. So the stats that I have on her are not ideal at all. So I'm going to be looking to do that soon and trying to get that invincible build out of her where she just can't be touched, which is going to be a lot of fun. So let's actually move on. We've gone through Kay, we've gone through Cormac, we've gone through Arthur. Another champion that you're definitely going to want to invest in. It goes without saying, this guy, Anguish. You're going to get a free copy of this guy. So you might as well invest in him. He places a ton of dot, guys. Here with his Frost Relic, which is the default relic, he's going to hit 5 times here. Opportunity to place Chill, right, on the last 3 hits. He's also going to be able to place Bleed once you have his Chivalry up. If we go to the Chivalry, I believe the Chivalry allows him to also place Bleed. Yeah, so when attacking, 50% chance to inflict Bleed as well, which is going to be very helpful for you. And you can build him a few different ways. I have one build that's in Vigor to make sure that we can constantly get back to that skill 3. And I also have an Elemental build that is going to allow us to place a dot every time we attack as well. So I use the Elemental build for the Forbidden Dungeon. One of these stages in here, we had to, I want to say is this one. I want to say it's floor 97, right? B97. You have to place dot on the ad on the left as well as the boss in order to kill it. You have to kill the ad on the right first with pure damage before you can place dots on the boss. So Anguish, these guys starting to look alike. Anguish was pretty much paramount for me for doing that. And shout out to Ardwin Gaming. I actually watched his video on it to actually complete it. Great video. I definitely suggest you go check out his channel. But Anguish, you're going to be using this guy as well in here in the power-up dungeon for Burning Land, Gorgos. You're going to definitely want to be using Anguish in there. Bring him in there, place a ton of dots on the boss, and get the boss down quickly. Anywhere that you need dots, you can also use dots against Audrey, the polar bear, to get that boss down as well. So Anguish is going to be someone who is very, very strong for you to use in there. You're going to want to build them with effect accuracy, some speed for sure. You can go with accuracy sets and elemental, accuracy sets and vigor. I suggest vigor for sure. unless you're going to have all the rest of your champions in vigor. I haven't fully gotten him awakened yet, so we'll probably be looking to do that soon for sure. But this guy is someone that you absolutely should invest in. I invested a ton into Rosier earlier, like early in the game. She was like my first champ that I was like, yeah, I gotta bring her all the way up. She was doing damage for me. She always also does dot damage. I'm not even sure how good her multiplier is. I didn't even skill it up, so it's actually not bad at all. But Rosier, another one that you can bring up for dot and also provide some just raw damage as well. So her and Cormac very similar. I prefer Cormac mostly nowadays, but Rosier is actually a very close second, if not right on par with him. But Anguish, someone that you definitely want to invest in, and like I said, building with some speed, building with some effect accuracy. Mine's is not that fast right now, but he's fast enough for what we need to be and what we're doing, because I use him a ton with Merlin, whose A2 is going to allow us to get 300 attack gauge increase every time we hit the boss. So using him there with Merlin everywhere, give him some effect accuracy, and he's going to be good to go for sure. But another very strong rare that you can use to improve your account. The next one we're going to talk about is Ardwin, who is an interesting champ, right? Because she places polymorph, and this polymorph is actually a game changer. It's actually a game changer, and it does some decent damage as well. So she has 294% attack at base. This is not skilled up. And if you all remember, we looked at Arthur, we looked at Cormac, we saw the numbers for their multipliers, right? And this is her skill 2. This isn't even the skill 3, the skill 2. So that's only 2 vigor that you need to make this happen, which is absolutely crazy. This might be one of the best skills, just skills overall in the game, to be able to get this much damage, right? This is like when we think about Bedivere, right? And his skill 2, right? His skill 2 hits crazy. He's going to gain CS rate increase as well there. And he's going to do some crazy damage for you because he's going to be ignoring defense and whatnot. This is what this reminds me of. A ridiculous skill 2, which helps your comp to keep going. You don't have to worry about, vigor running out. You're going to be able to do exactly what you want to do every time. And place this polymorph, which is pretty much going to take your enemy out of the fight. Every time I go against an Ardwin in arena, it is very annoying if I don't have things set up properly. And you're going to skill this up. It's going to add an extra 66% damage onto this. So her multiplier is going to be right on par with Cormac, right on par with Arthur's A3, and an extra 5% chance to get polymorph and another extra another random target. So this is absolutely one of the craziest skills in the game. And I'm sorry, I'm a bit under the weather. I do have the flu right now, but this is crazy, guys. Invest in Ardwin. I haven't fully invested in her, but I am well aware of what she is capable of. I don't even have, all the gear on at the moment. I did have her in some counter sets, just because once you get her chivalry up to chivalry 8, she's going to use skill 2 when counterattacking. So if she's hit at all, she's going to come in and be using that polymorph in this big smack every time that she gets hit. This is very, very strong in arena. Definitely going to want to invest in her. I have not invested in her yet. I have not fully invested in her, I should say. I need to go in and start skilling this up. You can see I started trying to get books into her, but they just weren't landing in the skill 2, and I'm pretty sure I just gave up at that point and started looking at other champions. But I'm gonna make sure I get her fully invested into, because absolutely crazy kit. You want to put her in a counterattack set if you can. Try to get strife on her as well, and she's going to be able to come in and do some crazy damage for you. Going to be very useful for arena, going to be very useful in the forbidden dungeon, going to be very useful for you when we have the event dungeons as well. Those event dungeons that come um, where you have to climb up or whatever. And there's usually two difficulties. Someone like Ardwin can come in and pretty much help you to clear all of that, because she's going to be polymorphing everything, and you're not going to have any issues progressing that. Forbidden Dungeon as well, she's pretty much a go-to if you don't have the other champions to clear each individual stage. This is someone that you can pretty much use from stage 1 to 100 and effectively clear it. As a DPS and as a control champion, she is absolutely amazing. So I encourage you to invest in her Flame Relic for sure. And yeah, invest, guys. Now, next rare we're going to talk about is Sarah, who was actually the first healer that I invested in fully. Obviously, I got Jillian and have since just invested in Jillian because I use Jillian everywhere. But Sarah is actually very, very strong. She can give you some, just solid pure heals. She also is going to place a debuff that you need on her skill 1, and that is because of her passive. When using skill 1, she places buff disruption and attack gauge disruption. So you're going to be able to use this in a dragon to farm some equipment, and you got to skill it up, otherwise it doesn't really work out. So you want to build her with some effect accuracy, some HP for sure. So I suggest you give her an accuracy set. I do have an accuracy set on mine. I did have vigor. I need to add one more piece back on her to make it a full vigor set, but vigor and accuracy probably the best way to go for her. That way that you can be using that buff disruption effectively in the dragon and be able to get off hills wherever you need. Now, in addition to that, if we look at her chivalry here, at her Chivalry 8, she grants all Serpent's Favor allies attack gauge decrease immunity at the start of the battle. And this is very, very useful for you in Arena, which, like I said before, the Guild v Guild is coming up. You're going to need some solid teams. A lot of people are using Morgan in Arena. I don't know. I haven't seen a comp that doesn't use Morgan, primarily because Morgan is going to be dropping your attack gauge at the start of the battle. If you run Sarah with Morgan, she's not going to, they're not going to be able to drop your attack gauge, and you'll be able to effectively cut in with your Morgan and drop their attack gauge and get you back into the fight. This is very, very strong. I'm seeing a lot of people using this very recently. So someone to invest in for Arena, someone to invest in for, just healing overall. Sometimes we need multiple healers for sure. If you're doing clan raids, you're gonna need you might need multiple healers for your 2 keys. You might use a Jillian for 1 key, might bring a Sarah for the other key, or what have you. But very, very strong champ to invest in for both PvP and PvE content. Now, last rare I want to talk about really quickly is just someone who we pretty much have to use against Audrey. I feel like we're just talking about a bunch of Audrey champs, but Aolon, very strong there, going to be able to give you that recovery disruption, which you absolutely need. And we're going to be placing recovery disruption with her skill 2. You give her some chivalry. You don't even have to skill this up, because if you are running Morgan in there as well, bringing you decreased defense, she's going to be able to place this without problem. I believe it is her passive here, the second passive. When attacking targets inflicted with defense decrease, 80% chance to inflict recovery disruption for 2 turns, and it cannot be resisted. So you won't need accuracy to do it at all. So as long as you're running a Morgan in there, you have your Morgan invested in like you should, and she's placing decreased defense for you. She's also going to place damage taken increase 1, which also can't be resisted. This is very strong in Audrey. Now, I will admit, I don't use her in a ton of other places, but this is a rare that I absolutely had to invest in to get it done, and I think you should invest in her as well. That's going to be it, though, for the rares, guys. All of them are pretty strong. There's some more that are strong as well that I haven't fully been able to test out yet. Like, I kind of want to look at Ralph because there's I forget what part of the game it is, but if we look at this passive here from Ralph, right? If you kill everyone on the team, I can't remember if it's in the favorite dungeon or what, but this is absolutely crazy. If everyone dies and Ralph is the only one alive, he's going to trigger Shadow of Dawn. You have 40 uses of this. I killed everyone on the team. We had Ralph left, and this Ralph literally just smacked me over and over and over and over again. Like, he just kept bing, bing, bing. It was actually crazy. Attacks all enemies 3 times. Total damage 131% attack. And it charges his attack gauge by 100%. It's literally just going to keep doing it over and over and over again. So this is something that I do want to look at. I don't know if anyone's done a video on it, but my God, this skill, this is absolutely broken. I wouldn't be surprised if they nerf this. I don't see a ton of people using it, but I'm probably going to invest in him soon and try to see if I can replicate what happened to me in the game. Because, man, this could be pretty broken for Arena. I'll be honest. It could be pretty broken for anywhere, but I mean, not campaign, because you want to keep people alive so that you can make sure you're getting the rest of your stars. But Ralph, man, we might have something going on with Ralph here. That's going to be all for this one, though, guys. Kind of a long-winded video. Let me know your thoughts down below on the rares that you have invested in for your progress, your favorite rare. Be sure to download the game using the link in my description as well as the pinned comment. And until next time, guys, be good and be well.